quite often in Christian circles, even in interreligious circles. But if truth be known, there is too little knowledge of the message of John of the Cross, the basic message, which is that of freedom and love. Unfortunately, John has had a reputation for harshness. I shall show, I hope, that in fact, John of the Cross was gentle and compassionate. Yes, indeed, he was single-minded, but his life and his message was all about love. That's the bottom line for John of the Cross. A love, he says, for which we were created. Indeed, John of the Cross had some very demanding things to say about Christian discipleship, but so do the Gospels. In these lectures, I hope to share with you the John of the Cross that I have come to know through many years of study, through reading his texts, and most of all, from praying a little bit with the texts of John of the Cross. And I also want to say how much I owe, in the little knowledge that I have of John of the Cross, the profit that I have received from working with the North American Carmelite Forum. We have been working together for over 25 years, and each year we've met and offered a seminar on Carmelite spirituality. And at the heart of those was our ability to help each other read more deeply the texts of the great Carmelite saints like Teresa of Avila, John of the Cross, Therese of Lisieux, the three saints and doctors of the Carmelite order and of the Church. And as we've worked on these seminars each year, we have learned a great deal from each other. We've been able, I think, to share how it is that we interpret these texts of Carmelite spirituality. Fortunate is the Carmelite family for having three doctors of the Church, but also for producing classical texts. The writings of Teresa of Avila, the writings of Therese of Lisieux, of Elizabeth of the Trinity, and, in this case, John of the Cross. So that for our topic today, in which we are speaking of John of the Cross, the weaver's son, he lives with us still in his texts, because the classical writings that he has offered us are there for us to be nourished as we too wish to grow in a life of prayer, and for John of the Cross, in a life of love. A classic is any person, event, or text that has inexhaustible wisdom, and each generation must return to those texts to read them, study with them, pray with them, and interpret them anew. One can't listen to Beethoven once and say, I've got it, I know all about Beethoven. And the same is true of the classic. Each generation needs to be nourished and fed by those classics. And we each need to bring our own contemporary culture to those texts and ask, what do they say to us now? It seems to me that we go to people like Teresa, Therese, Blessed Elizabeth, John of the Cross, so that we might become a more contemplative church and more loving Christians. And so I'm going to interweave John's study of John's texts with the background in which John was situated. One of the problems in studying the mystics over the past century or so has been that we've made the mystics abstract over there as if they never lived in real life circumstances. But mystics were people who allowed God to take over in their lives and bring them to a transforming union with God. And so far, there has been this problem and a drawback that we have not supplied that context. And so I will try as best I can.